Hey everybody, it's Peter, and this is the Ford Bronco Sport. And whether you're looking new or used, I think there's a bunch of things that I can show you in this video that maybe you're not seeing in some of the other videos. So I'm already a fan of this vehicle. Let's get my biases right out of the way up front. I think Ford nailed this for hitting the target demographic, but I want to help you decide if it's right for you or not. Now, I'm filming here at Jim Gilbert's Wheels and Deals, Jim Gilbert's Power Sports. They give me complete access to their entire vehicle and Power Sports lineup. So if you have any questions about this vehicle or want to see it compared to other vehicles in its class, let me know in the comments below and I'll make sure I come back to you both in future comments and in future videos. So let's get going with this review. All right, let's start off by talking about what this is and what this is not. This is not the Ford Bronco. The Ford Bronco is a much larger vehicle, and that is a Jeep Wrangler competitor. This is more of a lower level Jeep, other level Jeep, and really a Subaru competitor. This is a all-road kind of vehicle that doesn't have the extreme off-road abilities of something like the true Bronco or something like a Jeep Wrangler, but it does offer you a lot more all-road and trail capability than the typical small crossover, and they didn't shy away from hinting at its ability. Now this one has BFGs on it. If you don't know anything about tires, BFGs are the all-terrain tire. They come standard on my personal Jeep Wrangler Rubicon 4xe. They are a true off-road tire. These are not standard tires with this vehicle, but I kind of like that it has them because it shows that the previous owner of this understood what they wanted to do with this. They wanted to go over all terrains, and this one has a drive and terrain mode that's literally called GOAT mode, G-O-A-T, go over all terrain. So, or any terrain. It could be any terrain. I might have got that wrong, but the point is, that's kind of what this vehicle can do. And they, like I said, they don't shy away from its sort of idea. So you've got a roof line here that gives you a ton of headroom inside, which we're going to show you, and it bumps up like the Land Rovers of the past that give you extra headroom in the rear here. So they're hinting at the shapes that we are used to for off-road vehicles. It's a square body look. It reminds me of at the turn of the century, turn of the millennium, when the original Ford Escape came out. The original Ford Escape was shaped a lot like this, and it was a massive success for Ford. And then everything started looking like a bubble and everything started resembling a Tesla, and you don't have vehicles like this, but Ford brought this back and didn't make it a Jeep. They made it something that is very capable, but very practical. And what I love about this and the Ford Maverick is Ford obviously listened to what customers wanted and then gave them that. That is so rare in these days. So I'm really impressed with the styling and the function, and everything kind of comes together really nicely in this vehicle. Again, not a Bronco, but you gain some drivability advantages, certainly some efficiency advantages, and you still have a lot of the all-road capability, including some off-road capability that most crossovers in this class don't have. Let's start with the front, we'll work our way through. So in the past, vehicles had faces, and this vehicle has a face. You can clearly see the eyeball type look here, the sort of smile type face across here. You've got the white letters on the darker grille. This is a sort of false grille in here. This is an open grille down there. It does have active shutters in there, so the active grille shutters are a piece of the efficiency puzzle that can close off that grille when it doesn't need air going through into the engine to cool it off. It can close that off and allow for a little bit better aerodynamic efficiency. So little things, again, that maybe the other videos aren't showing you, they know what this is. This is supposed to be a regular everyday vehicle for people. It's not the crazy off-road top of the line Bronco. It's a Bronco Sport. It gets efficiency. So that's a good piece in there. And then, like I said, the styling here, you've got some cool styling with LED lighting around here. You've got good lighting, but you also have the projector beam headlights that are in there. So you have this cool look, but you also have great function. Those projector beam headlights give a nice sharp cutoff, so it's a really precise light, which is what you want. And then those LED lights as well help light up things that are above that cutoff, things like road signs and that kind of thing. So it's not just style, it's also function. Like most vehicles in this class right now, you have a little bit of a triangle up there that gives you some forward camera, forward collision avoidance type things. It has some safety features in there. That's not super uncommon in this class anymore, but again, it is included in here. And then one thing that's kind of cool is on narrow vehicles, where the hood lines go can kind of shape how they are. This is not a hugely wide vehicle, but it has some presence up front. And one of the ways that designers get that presence is by dropping that line to open the hood down around the side of the vehicle. So from the front, you have this wide look to it that makes it look more substantial than it really is. It's a compact, easy to park vehicle, but it's got some presence to it, and I really appreciate that. So now let's talk about a few features from the practical side of things. And practicality on a vehicle that's designed to go over all roads includes black plastic cladding. Why do you have this? Well, first of all, if you're shooting up gravel and that kind of thing, this is going to hit it. Now what's cool about this is instead of angling out here, so angling out away from the vehicle, this actually curls in a little bit, which kind of helps deflect debris and everything else away from some of the paint, some of that rocks and gravel and stuff that you might be driving on off-road. It keeps away. And same thing with down here. Instead of chipping the paint up here, all of that is nice solid plastic, so you're not ending up with paint chips if you drive down a gravel road. Those of us who live in Canada can also appreciate things like this because we're shooting up road salt and sand and stones that they put on, you know, to get traction all over the place. And all of that is now going to be absorbed by this plastic area, and that's, again, not just for styling. They put black down here to make it visually look taller, but it's also for practicality. So they do a good job with that. The other thing that's good for practicality is a lot of small SUVs have small roof racks. A lot of them start from behind the driver's area and kind of go back to here. This has a really wide, long roof rack. So if you want a big, strong, hard-mounted roof rack, you've got that. Whether it's a lightweight rooftop tent, whether it's canoes, kayaks, everything like that, you can use this for your fun things, and that makes a relatively compact vehicle practical with that larger thing. So you can, again, big kayak, big canoe, you've got the spacing you need in the bars to do your hobbies, which again fits the purpose of this vehicle. This isn't about going down those crazy off-road trails, it's about getting you to those trailheads, including going down less than ideal roads or maybe forest roads or that kind of thing. So well designed, well thought out. Let's check out the trunk for a second. So this is another area that I really, really love the Bronco Sport. I go camping a lot, and if you go camping a lot and you kind of jam everything in the vehicle, when you leave for camping, sure, it's packed great if you plan right, or if you just leave in a hurry, then maybe not. But a lot of time with me, when I leave for camping, everything's kind of packed where I want it. And then I have kids, and even if I don't bring my kids, when I'm halfway through my camping trip, everything's a mess. And what that means is when I want to get to something like my cooler, it is in the trunk. And if I want to access the cooler where I can keep it bear friendly, bear safe, animal free, that kind of thing, I want it in the trunk. If I opened the entire tailgate, everything would fall out. Or if you park on a bit of an angle, everything would fall out. This allows me to get to my cooler, get to my stuff, get to whatever I need to without having everything fall out of the back here. It's just a super practical little thing for people who live adventurous kind of lifestyles and have dirty and other things in there. So I love that the glass comes up. You can slam that down there, and then also the tailgate comes up, and the trunk is also worth looking at up close. So we're gonna move you in and we'll talk about a few things there. So in addition to having a massive square opening, which lets you take all kinds of large boxes, fold the seats down, take all kinds of large things in a relatively small vehicle, you also have, again, that adventurous spirit at heart. There's a whole bunch of things that make sense. So these are the rubber mats that you can get in here, and you can see you can mount them to the back of the seats as well. So if you fold down the seats, you can put all your wet and dirty gear in there, and you're not getting the carpet dirty. You've got proper rubber mats that work well. The other thing I'm gonna show you is tie downs and hooks in here, and to do that, I'm gonna go a little closer, so let's take a look at them. Okay, so I'm gonna do a little bit of poor camera work here, but I wanna show you all of this kind of in one shot so you get a sense of where everything is and how it all works. So these little hooks right here and right there, they are solid metal hooks. A lot of the time they have a cheap metal thing mounted in a little plastic thing, and that is your tie downs on a typical car in this class. Well, if you're driving off-road or off a rough road or camping, or you've got stuff that's banging around and you wanna net things down or tie it down with a net, having really solid anchor points matters, and there are 4 of them. There is one in the corner there, one in the corner here, and matched on the opposite side. So you can really anchor your gear down properly. But then they do extra things. They've got that light in there, and well, let's see if we can see that light. It's got a little Bronco logo. Let's see if we can zoom in there. Yeah, look, cool little Bronco logo in there. But that's not what I wanted to show you. What I want to show you is up over here. Let's see if we can go to this one there. Yeah, that one's easier for me to reach. So there's a 12-volt port, and there's 2 hooks there on either side of that 12-volt port. So we'll keep it zoomed in here for a second, and I want to show you how these work. These are super smart. You can just clip in your bag in there, and it's locked in. So you press it to release it, but you clip in a bag, and whatever you've got sitting here sits upright. There's a lot of vehicles that give you little hooks in the trunk, but it's just the bottom piece. You hang up your thing, and if something bounces around, it comes off. But again, one on this side here, one on this side there, and again, matched on the other side. There's 2 more on the other side. So many clever little luggage things because they understand the type of buyer who's gonna buy this vehicle. So another thing I want to show you is the top of the tailgate here. This is pretty slick as well. So let me just see if I can get you zoomed into there so you know where I'm looking there, right? You can sort of see it in the center of your screen. I haven't got the lights on there just because sometimes light doesn't work as well on camera, and I want you to see what this is. There are little arrows on here, and there's, again, LED lighting in there. You can aim these lights out, or you can aim them in towards the trunk. So you can have lit areas in towards the trunk, or you can have a lit area out towards maybe where you're setting up a camp, or maybe even putting a tent on the back here and having the light into your tent. It's just a super cool little feature that, again, I don't think the other videos are showing you as much. There's so many practicalities for the way this vehicle can be used for its intended buyer. So we're gonna head into the rear seat now, and there's a lot of positives there as well. Let's talk about one negative in my book. It's really not a big deal, but let's point it out. Let's show you the key fob so I can throw it in my pocket for the rest of the video. There we go, I got the key tag out of the way. All right, so lock, unlock, double tap to start, double tap to open the tailgate, right? Not really, it doesn't have a power tailgate. So sometimes you would think it's double tap to open, but that's not what that is. And then there's the panic button there. The only other thing I don't love about this is they went with a really beefy, thick key. You know, I guess that fits their marketing maybe, but I prefer small key fobs in my pocket. You may think it doesn't matter, and that's just something worth pointing out. All right, jumping in the back seat now. I got the keys in my pocket. We'll just leave that there. Let's drop in right here. So over here, the door doesn't open as wide as something like a Honda CR-V. That's literally the only thing I'm gonna fault it for, because they do other things very, very well. So over here, you've got a nice tough feeling fabric on this trim line. You do have an armrest here. Let's just pull that down for a second here. So you can see the armrest, of course, it has the cup holders like everyone else in the class has when it has an armrest. I'm gonna put that back up. And again, this material is very durable feeling. Feels like it can get wet and dirty, and it's not like the end of the world. Down here in the doors, typical stuff. You've got a pocket in there. You've got, you know, typical stuff. What's different is what you have in the back seats here. So you do have a pocket, but it's actually a zippered pocket, which I think is really cool because you can put your stuff in there and not only sort of keep it out of view, but keep it kind of secure as things are going out. And then this is an example of Ford not caring about trying to maximize every single dollar on accessories, but just letting you make it yours. So the Maverick has like a 3D printing instruction where they can get you to mount all kinds of things in there. This one is a MOLLE attachment here. So if you've never used this, hop online, look up MOLLE and accessories and that kind of thing, and you will see that these straps are made to fit anything you want to strap into there. So all of your adventure gear, you can strap it from here to your backpack to other kinds of things. Super smart down there. You do have a USB-C and A port down there. Traditionally, when you have them built into the same port, you're using one or the other, not both, but that's still good to have it. And you have vents back here, which again, not everybody in the class has. Now I'm gonna jump in here. This driver's seat is set to where I would like it, although I have options to move that around. We'll talk about that when I get in the driver's seat, but let me just jump in. We'll show you what it looks like with me inside. All right, so remember that roof that bumps up? I'm 6 feet tall. The typical small crossover with their kind of egg-shaped thing starts to, you know, wind down the headroom around my height. And certainly when you put your head back against the headrest, you end up losing height. But again, I'm 6 feet tall. I could wear a cowboy hat back here, like no problem. So that is really impressive. And then you look down here and you realize my legs are flush on the seat and I've got good knee room. Now again, this is not a crazy long vehicle, so there are vehicles that are a little bit bigger in class that will give me a little bit more knee room, but you don't need it because your legs are comfortable on the seat and you've got all the knee space room you need. And again, I could move this seat a little bit more. It's just not, like, we'll show you the driver's adjustments because the seating position in this vehicle is interesting. It's a little different than some other vehicles, and that I think gives me some flexibility. But overall space back here and comfort is excellent. So there's one other little thing I want to show you. Let me flip the camera around before we jump to the front seats, just because there's another pocket that I forgot to show you earlier, and I think it's worth pointing out right now. So I'm sitting in the same spot and I've got the wide angle camera, so the edges might be skewed a little bit, but both the driver's seat and the passenger seat have a little pocket in here as well, whether it's for a wallet or something small or, you know, anything you want that you can put in there. It's not a full cup holder. It won't stretch that big, but again, just another example of wasted space on other vehicles. It gives you an option to put stuff there, whether it's a cell phone, whether it's your rear seat passenger putting their cell phone in there. Lots of options to put a little bit extra stuff in there. Again, Ford did a good job just thinking this through. So heading towards the driver's door, we know that the roof line goes down. So Is there a lack of headroom? Well, let's see that in a second. But before we go in, let's just show you the keypad right here. So that's going to turn off in a second there. This is, yeah, there we go. It's behind the sort of glass there, or the plastic panel there. And this is a customized keypad that you can set up for yourself to give yourself a code to get into your vehicle without the key. Ford's been doing this like since at least the 80s, probably even before that. But they've cleaned up the look of it on some of their vehicles. And what's nice is, again, for an adventure, if you're going kayaking or something like that and you don't want to risk taking that key fob with you, you can leave it in your vehicle and use the key there, or use the keypad there to get in the vehicle. So that's just a really nice thing. Safety-wise, I should talk about it has blind spot detection. So blind spot detection also gives you rear cross traffic alert. That means you're going to get warned in your mirror when somebody's in your blind spot when you're driving forward. But if you were to throw this car in reverse, your backup camera only lights up so much. And let's pretend that there's a minivan parked beside the vehicle and my hand is the minivan and you can't see me. Well, when you're backing up, because you have that sensor back here for your blind spot warning when you're going forward, when you're backing up, it gives you rear cross traffic alert. So that means it could see me about to cross your path, whether I'm in a vehicle or a pedestrian, and it can warn you of that as well. So nice little safety features in this vehicle as well, and not something everybody expects. Jumping in now, finally. All right, power seat down here with the lumbar. So you've got lumbar adjustment, and let's just talk about these seats. There's only one thing I don't love about it. When I raise this seat, a lot of times you can tilt the front and the back. When I have it fully back, it has the angle that I like as a taller person. When you move it forward, it kind of levels out a little, or when you move it up, it kind of levels out a little bit. So you'll see in a second why that matters. Traditionally, in a small crossover, I have to keep it in the lowest position, or a lower position anyways. Let's show you what I mean when I jump in here right now. All right, so we've got the wide angle view here. I'm gonna hit the start button with my left hand because I got the right hand on the thing, and you're gonna watch especially this screen, I think, but you can watch both of them or play back if you wanna see both. Foot on the brake, hit the start button. Check out the screen as they come to life here. Oh, it's not doing what I thought it was gonna do. Yeah, there we go, there we go. Look at that. Let's turn the volume down a second. Isn't that super cool? Like, I just think it's really cool what they do with their graphics here as the car gets ready to go. A lot of vehicles, they have this sort of like long wait for different things to come up, and this one just does cool things. Now, where I am impressed with their initial screen, Ford's system here is a little plain. There's nothing wrong with it. It's actually very legible, very readable, but what I would like to see is some of that graphics brought into this level. Radio, speaking of radio, we've got the highway as a preset on there, which means we have Sirius XM satellite radio. Good things in there. Let's just show you reverse while we go back. There is a backup camera, and you do have sort of a trailer guidance line. What's cool about this is, we zoom in there, you can sort of see that exact trailer guidance line. What's cool about this is this vehicle tows 2,000 pounds, which for a small crossover is pretty good. It'll take your jet ski, it'll take your, you know, your ATV. It can take a lightweight camping trailer. There are some still lightweight camping trailers you could take with this as well. But utility trailers shouldn't be an issue really at all for what you're thinking about. So put it back in park and it instantly comes back to the regular screen. There's some nice things in here. You can look at some of your driver's assistance features. So this again is going to show you some of that safety. That lane keeping system can be set to alert or aid, or alert and aid. The aiding is actually a self-steering. It helps steer the vehicle for you as well. So it can help you stay centered in the lane if you're not paying attention, which is cool. Pre-collision warning assist, so warning and braking, or just warning, those kind of things. So in other words, it will look out in front of you with, again, that camera system that's up here above the mirror looking out forward that we showed you at the beginning of the video. It can look out and is capable of stopping the vehicle or capable of slowing the vehicle to minimize a collision. So again, never assume it's going to stop on its own, but it's capable of helping you. Blind spot information system, we talked about that. And there's the trailer sway control. So you can turn that on or off as well when you're towing a trailer. That works with your traction control and understands your trailer. This is, again, Ford's truck technology working its way down into a small crossover, which is pretty cool. So rear cross traffic alert, we talked about that. Driver alert is just going to warn you, hey, are you not paying attention? Maybe you should stop for coffee. And then a traction control, you can set that on or off as well. So cool things in there. Speaking of traction control, let's skip some of this stuff down here and come all the way down to what I mentioned earlier, the GOAT modes, G-O-A-T. Go over any terrain or go over all terrain. I think it's any terrain. Point is, it goes over any terrain or all terrain. So what I'm going to do is show you in the dash now what happens when I play with that, when I spin this here. So you'll see. All right, we've got normal mode, which is what we're in right now. We can go over to sand mode, and when we go to sand mode, you're going to see our traction control turns off over there on the tachometer there. So we'll just come back here in the sand mode. We go back to normal mode, and our traction control comes back on. then we go to eco mode, then we go to a sport mode, and then we go over to a slippery conditions mode. So this gives you the ability, as we swing wide angle, to really set the car up, not just the traction control that turns on and off, but the throttle response, the gear holding revs, that kind of thing, to work with you. If you're driving athletically, you'll find that the sport mode works with you. If you want to drive economically, now the eco mode does not save you fuel on its own, but if you are an economical driver anyways, putting in eco mode will put those shift points where you want it to get great fuel efficiency. A lot of people will drive it in normal, and again, you can put it in slippery, in the snow. You can put it in sand if you're in sandy situations. So a lot of areas where you can kind of just customize the way this car is set up electronically to help you get through things, which is pretty cool. Again, it's got that all-wheel drive as well. Down here, nothing too fancy on here. You've got some menu items. We can go through the screen in there. Kind of typical stuff. Let me just show you the menus. So again, AM, FM, Sirius, FM is what you would have over there. You can come down here to different things if your phone is connected. There's just sort of vehicle information. And this is a typical screen from Ford that they kind of show you everything. So I don't want you to worry about fuel efficiency. This vehicle is doing exactly what it does right now. Anytime you see a vehicle on dealer lot, they idle a lot. So don't pay too much attention to the fuel efficiency. But you can customize some of these screens up in here, which is kind of a cool way to do things. And then of course you can set to your presets here, your favorites, and some of your safety information as we go down here. So that blind or that lane keeping lane system there that I'll watch. And you always have things like your compass up there as well. I think I left it in the wrong mode, so we're going to put it back into let's just put it in normal mode in case anybody test drives this video. I don't want to leave in that slippery mode there. So there we go with that. Nothing fancy in the dash, but the screens are very good. You know, in some ways I think the gauges might be a little dated, but that doesn't bother me. And coming down here, your Ford's typical headlight switch down here. You have headlights, automatic headlights, parking lights, that kind of thing. So typical stuff, and your fog lights are able to be turned on there as well. So taking a look at the screen again, we'll come down from the screen. You can see that the start-stop button is not buried behind the steering wheel. It's out visible, so it's easy to get to. You've got a space to put a phone or other things in there. And then you've got your climate control system here. Ford's climate control system, pretty good system. It's a set it and forget it type system. So you choose your temperature, put it on automatic, and it will bring it there. Now, one cool thing about the automatic is if you have it the way I have it set right now, the fan speed will never go crazy. And that's nice if you get out of a hot car or get out of a car on a hot day and you come back in, as you're opening the door, you're letting all that heat in, letting the cool air out. So if this is in the highest position, which I'll show you in just 1 second, then what happens is you have that air conditioning just blasting on you until it reaches 22 degrees. Right now, it would just blow moderately, and then that would be fast, that would be kind of medium. So it'll limit the top speed of the fan speed to bring it to that temperature. And that's just a nicer, more relaxing way to bring it back down or up to temperature. But in the middle of the winter when you need the heat, and in the middle of the summer when you want the air to go quickly, you can set it to that. But you can just bring it down and you're not changing any settings. It's still gonna move things around where it needs to, into the defrost, up and down as it needs to, and the temperature will go to whatever you have it set at. So good system there. You also have rump roasters, which I am a big fan of. Heated seats on cloth seats work very well. I'm gonna leave them on and tell you as soon as I feel them, because some of these Ford ones work pretty quickly. Coming down here, you've got your big area to put phones. Again, USB-C, USB-A, and 12-volt port down there. And then you've got, shared with the Maverick, the exact same gear shift lever here. And those heated seats, I'm already feeling right now. Electronic parking brake, and you can have your auto hold as well. And there's those GOAT modes again. Let's just go fully wide angle so you kind of see where we're at. Nice little armrest in here, nicely padded with a 12-volt port down there, I believe. Yes, 12-volt port in there at the very front. So again, good stuff for this small SUV. So let's talk about who this vehicle is for, and I think it really spreads over a wide range. This hits the marketing that Subaru has been going after for years. So if you're looking for a Subaru alternative, I would put this on your shopping list. It may or may not be right for you, but it does have a lot of those same lifestyle type features. So the first thing I would say is, who is this for? If you are an adventurous type person that wants something relatively economical that can go over a lot of different terrains, not all terrains, but a lot of different terrains, especially all types of roads, this is a really good option. You've got the ability with a good roof rack. And again, not too high that you can't get your stuff up there. I love the way the tailgate works. I love the way the trunk has been set up for people like myself, people who go out and adventure. And again, because you're using this as your everyday vehicle, it's still economical. And there aren't a lot of vehicles that have this level of general capability that also have that economy. And this is a nice mix of that. The other thing is, you may just like the styling. In the small crossover segment, like I said, so many of them are bubble-shaped, egg-looking. This is different. This brings us back to a tougher-looking look. That square size certainly has advantages in headroom, and for a smaller vehicle, when you have that much headroom, it feels much bigger because you don't feel like you're closed in and so tight. So you've got good headroom front and rear. If you're taking friends anywhere, this is a small vehicle that can easily fit them. There's just so many good things to like about this vehicle. It is not a luxury vehicle. It is not a super high powerful sport vehicle, but I think, again, like the Ford Maverick, Ford listened to customers, gave them what they're asking for, and priced it accordingly. I think this is a really nice option. So, is it for you? Let me know in the comments below. If you have one, I'd love to hear your experiences with it. Tell me how much you love it, what you use it for, that kind of stuff. And again, if you don't have one and you want to know more, let me know in the comments because I can come back to you with answers in those comments, but also future videos. I want to thank Jim Gilbert's Wheels and Deals. If you want to see this vehicle for yourself, swing by Jim Gilbert's Wheels and Deals in Fredericton, New Brunswick, and they will help you out. Thanks everybody for watching.